comic friends, I'm Travis.
And I'm Matt, and I'll be doing the sidetrack commentary.
This is an edition of What the Fugue.
And commentary.
I talk about what's going on with me in my week of comics.
And I'll be commenting.
How's it going, everybody?
Pretty good. How about you?
My week of comics. Hopefully everything's going great. Hopefully
I hope it's going great too. Okay, I'll stop.
all the storms that hit after my comics got moving should be here on Friday. Yay! Speaking of Friday, there will be a comic roundtable on Friday. I know there was a question about whether or not it was a holiday, and therefore there wouldn't be one, but there is.
I'm sorry. I have to attend to my lady, but let's talk about next week. Maybe, yeah?
I'm dedicated, so we will have a comic roundtable. It may just be me there talking, or it may just be a few of us talking, but somebody will be there.
On the couch.
We'll be talking about comic books, so be prepared for that. 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern.
But Mountain Time's nowhere to be found.
So, what else is going on beyond the world of comics? Something I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around. I've heard that Greg Rucka is going to be writing a young Cyclops
Cyclops Appreciation Society, go Fozzie Wozzie!
X-Men book. Okay, I pretty much read anything that Greg Rucka writes. I'm a huge fan. Kind of feel like he can't do no wrong, kind of a thing.
He's good, man, but I don't know about Lazarus. I just can't get into it. There's some other books. I mean, nobody's flawless, but I mean, if you're talking about a strong track record, it's hard to top Rucka overall.
And I despise Cyclops. He's like one of my least favorite X-Men ever. And
Oh, the irony. You slap on a visor, and look, you have a Cyclops cosplay. It's just... I don't know, man. I'm seeing something here.
always has been since I was reading the X-Men in the 80s. I have never liked that character. And so, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm actually going to get that or not. Gut feeling right now is I'm not, despite him being on the book. But I may change my mind by the time it gets around to it. Just because I want to see what, maybe Greg can make me like the character. I don't know. Or maybe he'll just write it more despicable in the despicable ways that I don't care for the character. I don't know. Could be interesting to find out. So that's the big comic news as far as what's going on as far as creators and stuff goes.
Man, I just find that crazy. I love Cyclops. The idea of Rucka doing a young Cyclops book, though, like, what are they going to do? It's not like the character has any real unexplored space. Even when you have a creator like Brian K. Vaughan doing a solo with the character, like, it's kind of a cool character study, but there's not a lot there. Like, Cyclops doesn't really exist independent of the X-Men. I feel like if you're going to do it currently, where he has a lot of conflicting things, he's almost like Magneto, is working with Magneto, I mean, a lot of that's being explored in Uncanny X-Men, but having a short solo run now, and then having the character arrive somewhere, because there's definitely change to happen with the character, I think would make for a valid story. But young Cyclops, like, what are we gonna do? I don't know. That's just, it's odd to me.
What's going on as far as creators and stuff goes. What else is going on in your comments? This weekend is a long weekend for me. There's actually a holiday, President's Day here in the United States, so I actually have that day off from work, so I have 3 days. In that 3 days, I am determined to take care of the mess that is behind me. All these stacks of comics that have been showing up in my videos lately, they are going to be dealt with.
Man, I need to jump on that too. I don't know, like, a cleaning video thing could be interesting if we could just get the right angle. I don't know, just, like, going through and talking about while putting away. I don't know if that's too distracting for people. I thought that could be a cool idea, hangout, not even necessarily broadcasted. But I think that's something we should do, maybe even monthly, is, like, a community cleanup sort of deal, if you will. I don't know, it's just a crazy idea. I'm just putting it out there. I'm probably not reliable enough to, like, make that happen, but I could try if people were, like, interested. And I know I'm bad about letting it pile up like you, but if we banded together to fight the clutter, I think we could make it.
What else is going on? And let's talk a little bit about criticism. Comic book criticism.
Yes, let's talk about comic book criticism. We need more talk about this. Awesome.
Talk a little bit about that. Kind of runs the gambit, and I'm not telling people how to think, act, or be, or whatever. Just saying where I come at from my criticism of books and maybe the people who make those books or whatever. And this is how I see it for me personally anyway. If I'm criticizing a book or I'm criticizing the way it's done, whether that be an artist, a writer, or whatever, I'm not criticizing the person who's creating those works unless I specifically state that I got a problem with something that they personally are doing. I try to make sure that my criticism isn't, so-and-so artist sucks. It's so-and-so artist's stuff sucks, not they.
That's really good. I mean, focusing on the work and the book at hand, you're not making personal attacks or anything. You're just saying this here doesn't work. And that's also really good because you don't get that whole idea of like, oh, I'm reneging on it. Like, if an artist changes over time, or sometimes, honestly, an artist's work in a book can not work one place or another. Like, I know when Marcos Martin was on Amazing Spider-Man, didn't do much for me. Saw him in, like, Daredevil once, and boom, it's a completely different story. Sometimes things work one place where they wouldn't work for another.
So that's where I'm at on that. I'm not going to back away from criticism. I'm not going to back away from saying that I don't like something or it didn't appeal to me or whatever. But I'm going to attempt my best to then lay out why it is that I don't care for something. I'm not real keen on there's a lot of shows out there, and I'm not anybody in particular, but there's a lot of shows out there where negative seems to be the cool thing. That seems to be popular right now as a popular trend to burn books down and stuff, and that's not...
I hate to say it, you're not quite right here. There's just certain places and certain people, certain mindsets where in order to be critical or something, you have to be negative. And honestly, if you're running a site where you're running off of hit by hit, negativity as a rule will draw more than positivity, mainly because it can make more gripping link bait sort of headlines to tag. It just brings in more... if people are interested in reading a book, they'll read some stuff like, yeah, it's great, it does this and that. It's rare to find something that really expounds the virtues of a book, especially when it's new or in the middle of a run, and it's hard to encapsulate that in a review. Whereas to be negative on a book, it's a lot easier to find the language and find a way to tear it down in a way that in the review itself is more entertaining. And that's kind of caused a problem, and a lot of sites end up going a lot more negative, and sometimes they do try to balance it out with the positive, but they still really focus and draw and like get their audience from the negativity, and it's part of what just kind of fuels some of the way the internet kind of churns and burns. So I see what you're saying, and maybe you've just run across it more lately. It's almost more awesome that you're thinking that it's just this trend. Maybe there's an upswing with some people in the community right now. I'm not trying to... I'm saying, like, I've seen this again and again and again, so I don't think it's a trend. I think it's just there. But the fact that you're seeing it on the channels you are, maybe it's a trend there. Hopefully it is. Hopefully that goes away and we can keep a more balanced approach, as it were, to comics, because that's just better for everyone.
To pick up books that aren't good, I'm going to say so. Because I want to be honestly talking about the books. And that's part of it. There are bad books. There are books we don't care for, and that's being honest talking about those. I mean, I understand to some degree, let's just not talk about it if it's not good. But if I've already experienced getting it, then I want to have a conversation about the experience getting it. So, I won't continue to talk about a book that I didn't care for. I don't need to do that. But there's kind of some sort of a weird fine line in there about that as far as criticism goes. But I mean...
That's a really good point, too. I mean, just not talking about the books you don't like isn't good either, because now you're just suddenly not talking about books, And I get that, but within this sort of area where we're not being paid to review or we're not trying to do all that, I think it's good to talk about the books when you don't like them. What I find really weird, though, is when I hear people talk about something like, oh, I don't know, 5 issues of Arkham War, and every month it's, why am I getting this? This is terrible. Da, da, da. And I understand some people, like you, are in a position where they have to buy ahead of time. If it's something like a 5-issue mini, you're basically committing to it sight unseen, no matter what. And I understand. But there's other people who just end up at the shop, they're talking about, like, this is garbage, but I have the first 4 issues, so I have to get the 5th. I understand that. I've done that too. But if you thought the first 2 issues were trash, why did you get over twice as many? You know, it's not so much, I think, that we shouldn't talk about the negative reviews, but at a certain point, some of that negativity should be going away, because if you don't like a book, why do you continually pick it up? And then you're talking about it. And I mean, yeah, we should talk about the books we pick up, but if you're just constantly bad-mouthing a book when you pick it up, I almost feel like there has to be some, like, silver lining, some golden thread to the reason why these people are picking up. But then they don't see it. Maybe they're not, like, pushing themselves to try to think what they like it. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure thing. I don't know. I don't do that, as previously stated earlier this week.
I spent money on it, therefore I think I have the right, to say whatever I want to on it. And, one of the things that frustrates me about some of the official, kind of comic book sites that are out there, the Newsaramas, the comic book resources, and some of the others to some degree, it almost, if they aren't actually outright paid, it feels like they're paid in some sense, or those people are trying to get their own foot in the door or whatever, and so then I feel like I'm not getting honest opinions about whatever it is.
I think that's really close to the money. I'm sure there's instances of people actually being paid for reviews here and there in one sense or another. What I understand about a lot of these sites is they, in a way, it's less getting their foot in the door and more keeping their foot in the door, especially as a site reputation. Because if a site continually bashes a certain publisher's line and they essentially cost the publisher money week in, week out, the publisher's going to stop sending them books. And as a review site, their lifeblood is getting those books before they come out. That's part of the reason why if you see a 1 or a 2, like, it's not going to be a big event or a really big book or anything. Like, it's going to be something where it could be marginalized, which is funnier because, a marginalized review of a book that isn't as big is actually going to hurt that book more than, like, say, a big event or Batman that month. But I mean, that's why when you see a bad review, it's usually 3 out of 5. Like, it was all right. It's hard to parse when just all right is just all right, or it's just bad, but the reviewer's trying to find a way to get around it and, like, talk about the high points as well. And a lot of these people push themselves to always find the good and the bad, which is a good technique overall. But when you're talking about 20 pages in a story and nothing necessarily happened, and it might, when it's all collected, be something, but that issue on its own doesn't warrant it, and they're like, yeah, no, it's just, it's almost more polarizing in finding good and bad than finding a middle ground and, like, finding a through line for an opinion of the comic, and then you have to arrive at some numbered meter thing to address it, and it causes problems. And you start comparing what numbers to what comics get, you start getting weird inconsistencies in even how they view the value or the worth of the comic. And it's an impossible conundrum for them, and that's a lot of the reason why I understand those sites do that sort of thing. But at the same time, that's a lot of the reason why I don't look at them. And the most egregious of them, because they're in video game journalism practices, is IGN, and their reviews and articles tend to be generally worthless. Every now and again, one slips through, just probably by sheer perseverance, to be something of quality. I don't know. That's my take. That's my opinion. of those essentially opinion sites. So, yeah, let's just go further down the rabbit hole.
When I talk about books, I'm not always doing a critique per se. And so, one of my videos, of course, is called Monster Comics Reviews, and I don't really feel like I review a book. I mean, I think there's certain parameters to officially reviewing something that you need to go through, so you hit certain things. There's a certain model, I think, to some degree you should be following. So like a lot of the guys on here now have more and more been calling their comic book thoughts. And that's a more appropriate term even for what I do. That's just a title we came up at the time when me and Ethan were doing the videos together. We needed something. We wanted to be big mostly because I had this idea of this video of us, because I got some great video editing equipment.
That's so cool. Man, where do I get cool equipment? I need to up my game. What? Your stuff is awesome. And more of that, because it's awesome.
To stomp on a city. We thought that would be cool to have this kind of monster thing going on. So that's why we end up with a monster comic review. But now I almost regret having review in the title, because it's not really what I do. But people understand, have some sense of what the word review means. So here I am wandering off in a direction I really didn't plan on going. Anyway, back to critique. The other part of criticism, and if at least for me anyway, and I believe most people are this way, if I'm saying I don't like a book, and it happens to be a book that you like, please don't take that personally, because I am not that. My opinion is no less or no greater of you if you like a book or don't like a book. I mean,
Travis, you say that, but I know you make fun of me because I like Cyclops and Deadpool and Ninja Turtles and oh my god, no. Opinions are opinions, man. It's cool.
I'm excited if you like the same books I like, because we can talk about it. But you know what? I'm willing to talk about the books I don't like and that you love too, and vice versa. If I love a book and you don't like it, there's some great conversation to be had there. So I'm all for that too. So
more of that. Yes.
So I just want to say that if I'm criticizing a book that you love, please don't take it personally, because I'm not criticizing you as a person. I mean, I know that we as fans start to gather ownership of our books and take stuff to heart, but please don't take that to heart if it happens to be there's something that you enjoy that I don't enjoy, and vice versa, because if I enjoy something and you don't enjoy it, I'm not going to take that personal. It's like, okay, that's cool. My brain's built different than your brain is, and we aren't always going to agree on everything, or have the same opinion, the same taste, the same flavors. That's great. That makes us a
same flavors? This video is taking a cannibalistic turn that I'm not necessarily comfortable with.
happy place to be in, of talking and having cool discussions about the stuff. So I just wanted to put that out there that if I'm being critical of something that you like, please don't take it personally. That I mean, unless I guess you're one of those creators, then I guess you can take it personally if it's your baby and I'm picking on it. But I'm trying not to just pick on it. I really try most of the time, if I'm really seriously talking about the book, try to explain what about it is that I don't enjoy. Doesn't mean you have to cater to me. I'm just telling you what it is that I don't enjoy. So, and with that kind of ramble all over the place, I'm gonna be done now, I think, because I don't really have a lot else to talk about other than just blabbering. So,
all right, we'll cut you off there. But good talk, man. Good talk.